everyone. What's going on in your neck of the woods, in your part of the world? I can tell you that this region is insane and there's so much news. I'm going to try to fly through it. I was thinking about people sometimes ask me questions and I'm like, oh, I got to answer that. I got to answer that. And then it all piles up and then new things happen. For instance, today there were 2 attempted terror attacks. And, so the list goes on and on. But I'm going to wait. I'm just going to give it like another minute while people are logging on because they're probably like, oh, look, Nicole's live. It's been like a really long time. Oh, Nicole's alive. It's a miracle. So you'll notice that I normally sit there and I had a professional camera person tell me, wow, you really need to do something about your lighting. So I moved here to the bar. I don't think it's better. I think it's probably worse. And I said, yeah, come over and tell me actually what to do. But, and the sound. Anyway, so normally right there, you would have seen like in the last week, a Christmas tree behind me. And so I'm sure you're wondering like, wow, why is there no Christmas tree now? And why did you even have it up at all until January 19th? Like, what's the deal with that? Is that not a bit late? Isn't that a bit of a dust collector? Just wait, I will give you the answer at the end. But all right, so let's get started. So if you're in the US, really, if you're anywhere in the world, you know that 3 American soldiers were killed in an attack on a base that's in Jordan. Jordan, if I could only figure out how to do screen share, I wanted to show you a map, but not really sure how to do screen share on Restream. Like if I go like this, do you see the map? But I don't see myself. I have no idea if you could actually see the map. And if you could actually see like this, all of these countries right here, like here's Israel, here's Jerusalem, I'm here. And then, you've got, so apparently the base was it was between Syria and Jordan, close to Iraq, and here's Iran. And they believe it was, I don't know if you saw that, but they believe it was an Iranian proxy. And, oh, look, there is a chat I could put on. Oh my gosh. Oh, hi, everybody. I didn't even see the chat till now. Did you see my screen? No, you didn't see my screen. Okay. And thanks for the lighting as good as is audio. You know what I told, and like, it's all about the content, right? It's about the content. It's not about the professional studio. I was just watching Fox and I was like, oh my God, I need somebody to do my lashes. Apparently they all have like lashes, like out to there. Is that a new thing? I haven't watched Fox in so long. All right. So anyway, I'm sorry about the map. One of these days I'm going to figure out all these technical issues, or I'll ask my kids to. But so anyway, you could see like if you know where Jordan is, Jordan neighbors Israel, but then Jordan is pretty wide, so all the way across, and Syria is also a neighbor of Israel, and then for this to happen like on the border of Jordan and Syria, and Iraq, and they believe an Iranian proxy. So this is something that makes you ask, is World War III on the horizon? Now, I know that a lot of people are saying that, and I will tell you, like, I want to err on the side of not being a warmonger, because a lot of people are, and it's like what keeps everybody coming back to the news. I mean, I like to actually be realistic, and the question here is, what will the U.S. response be? And if they will actually take military action, what other nations will be dragged in to this? Because now if Iran really is behind this attack, then you've got like all of the nations aligned, like, all of the different proxies that Iran has, which is Hamas, which is on Israel's southern border, Hezbollah, which is in Lebanon on Israel's northern border. And then, of course, Jordan, which is pretty neutral, Syria with Iran, but also on Israel's border. So anyway, just make for for a big mess. So the question just is, how is America going to respond? Now, America did respond to the Houthis in Yemen. As you may know, there was a response. England, Great Britain, and America together attacked some bases in Yemen where they say that the Houthis are, and the Houthis are another group, movements, terrorist organization that is also backed by Iran, and that has been attacking Israel somehow. Now, I wish I could show you the map, because then you would see that Yemen is like 1,500 miles, 2,000 kilometers south of Israel, and somehow they're involved. I mean, they're separated by several countries. There's several countries between Israel and Yemen. And the Houthis and Yemen, I guess in general, has been traditionally pro-Palestinian, but they never really were involved militarily in any of these conflicts. So, and there have been many, of course, as you know, between Israel and Hamas. And anyway, so why now? So anyway, meanwhile, then you've got things really, again, I said I don't want to be a warmonger, but things are really heating up in the north. Yesterday was a day of a lot of back and forth. 2 Israeli soldiers were injured. Several Hezbollah combatants were killed. So there was also a lot going on up there. And there's a lot of talk in Israel. And again, I don't know if it's talk or if it's official, to stock up and to be ready. And of course, there's been this thing in the back of your mind. Now, we've been at this for about 115 days, over 3 months. And people have been talking about, first, Israel's going to finish Gaza, and then they're going to focus on Hezbollah. So now it's just like this back and forth, war of attrition going on, but nothing serious yet. So very serious, I guess, if you're living it on either side. But for now, like, it's not affecting us in Jerusalem. It's only affecting a couple miles, of the border in Israel, where people are evacuated. Tens of thousands of people are evacuated, still living in hotels around the country. And then, of course, in Lebanon, southern Lebanon, yes, is affected. In fact, the Maronite patriarch in Lebanon said, "Our people in South Lebanon write to us that we live under mental stress because of the war. Our children do not go to school. You cannot imagine the harsh reality. And we and our family members refuse to be the victim of education that sanctifies death for the sake of imaginary victories." Now, that is a huge statement. It's a statement that, without saying it, is against Hezbollah. And a lot of Lebanese are fearful of speaking out against Hezbollah because they've been, there have been threats. And the Lebanese government, also Hezbollah's in the Lebanese government, and there has been a lot of pressure from Hezbollah in the past. They kind of run the show in southern Lebanon, and it's very hard to come against them. Same with Hamas in Gaza, which is why Gaza has turned into what it is. Ever since the Hamas takeover. Oh, wow. And that's a whole other thing. When did Hamas take over? Hamas took over when Israel pulled out its residents, that is called the disengagement, in 2005. And Israeli Jews used to live in Gaza. Now it's like unimaginable. Like, if you only came to this game now and knew nothing about Gaza, you would think it was always like Palestinian, like that's it, very rigidly Palestinian. But what is that, like less than 20 years ago, Israeli Jews were living there. People could go in and out, just like now you can go in and out to Bethlehem and other Palestinian areas. Well, maybe not everybody can go to Bethlehem, but Gaza suddenly was, cut off after that. And Hamas won the elections. They beat Fatah, which is the other more maybe moderate party, but the secular party, not the Hamas, is more Islamic. And anyway, since then, there's been a different kind of rule. There had been persecution against Christians, although they wouldn't say that now necessarily. But not only is the pressure rising in Lebanon to not, for Hezbollah to quiet down, but Gazans are actually starting to protest. This is starting to creep up in the news. They're starting to protest against Hamas, not against Israel. Now, I'm not saying that Gazans are saying they love Israel now. I don't think that is the case, and I don't know if it would be the case in the near future. Anyway, they're not educated to love each other, and reconciliation is very rarely heard from. Anyway, so I'm not saying that they would say they're pro-Israel, So, but they are starting to go against Hamas. The conditions there must be horrific. I mean, it's reported to be horrific. I'm not there, and it's raining. We've got rain. It's cold. People are living in tents, and they're still fighting. And I'm talking like house to house fighting, not Israel coming and dropping bombs like they were in the beginning. Now the Israeli military is inside, and yet there's still, despite all the bombs that were dropped, and they're saying now 26,000 people killed in Gaza, Hamas is still fighting back. And in fact, today there was a huge barrage of rockets from southern Gaza launched at the center of Israel, like from the Tel Aviv area. Huge barrage. This is the biggest in about a month, and more or less a month. And so they still have a lot of weapons, rockets, RPGs. They still have the tunnels. Not everything's been destroyed. So anyway, and also the prices in Gaza. I've seen videos of guy holding a tray of eggs, a little bit more, not 12 eggs. It was more than a dozen. Normally that tray would be 7 shekels. And he was saying this cost him 100 shekels. 100 shekels. What is that in dollars? Like 25. It's more than $25. That's insane. And of course, they were already living in poverty before. Then also with the flour, they had somebody showed a sack of flour, and he said it cost him. I mean, that must have been several pounds, like 10 pounds of flour or something like that, and it cost him 200 shekels. So more than $50 for the sack of flour. So it is out of control. Okay. And there is humanitarian aid getting in. That's the other thing to say. By the way, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to write them. I will try to respond. Okay. But humanitarian aid is getting in despite protests everywhere around the country. I wrote an article. I posted it. It's on my page somewhere on Facebook, but it's on my website. I wrote an article about how the protests now in Israel are blurring between free the hostages to become like anti-governments. The government was already not loved necessarily before. And I mean, it was 50-50, the people who love the government, they love what they were doing. And there was also there was a lot of civil strife going on. And it's starting to shift back into civil strife. We're starting to lose the unity that had happened after October 7th. And people, were like, no, we're going to drop our differences. We're not going to strike anymore. We're not going to protest. We're all going to unite and whatever. And now that's starting to change. And one of the protests, because I'm talking about humanitarian aid, one of the recent protests is thanks, Callie. Nick, what's your website? I know I say, go check my website. You know what it is. You don't know what it is. All right. Yes. Great. Okay. My website is nickjan.com. So it's the first 3 letters of my name, which is much easier to spell than Nicole Jansazian. That would take an hour. So it's NICJAN.com. Thanks. Between the technical and that kind of stuff, I need a lot of help. All right. So the hostage families are now protesting at the border with Gaza to stop. They're like blocking the humanitarian aid trucks from getting into Gaza. And they were doing that for several days, I think from sometime last week, like late last week. And then yesterday, the army declared, or whoever told the army to say, this is a military zone. It's a closed military zone. No civilians are allowed in. So they basically moved the civilians and the area of protest back so that they could let, if need be, the humanitarian aid trucks. So this is a very tricky issue because a lot of Israelis they don't want to send the humanitarian aid in. They want to say until, like, the hostage families are saying, until you show us, like, get medication, know that we're getting medication and food, know that we have a sign of life, that our family members are still alive. There's registered 136 hostages officially still there. Some of those unfortunately are not considered to be alive right now, but that's the official number. But they're saying, like, you cannot let in this aid to these people. Hamas is going to get it. We don't want Hamas to get anything. We want to put the pressure on Hamas that Hamas will not, get this aid, and then the people will be upset with them, and that they will revolt, and that Hamas will capitulate and release the hostages. So that is their argument right now. Now, the government, on the other hand, they want to get the aid through because they, this will help them with negotiating a deal for the hostages, which, by the way, is underway. There was a meeting in Paris. I think it ended yesterday, between the heads of several intelligence agencies from the U.S., Israel, Egypt, and Qatar. And the Israeli government described it as constructive. Now, there have been reports today of Israel accepted the deal. And then I just saw Israel said, no, we did not accept the deal. So, I have to echo what one family member said the other day. I heard an interview on the radio, and she's I think the mother of one of the hostages. And she said, I'm done with getting my hopes up. Every time they say that there might be a deal, we go, like, very excited, and we hope there's good, people are we're going to see our loved ones come home. And then, of course, we're disappointed. She said, I'm not listening anymore. When I see my family member cross the border, then I will believe it, but I'm not getting involved yet. And I have to say, it's the same with the news. Like, whether you're talking about war, or whether you're talking about, like, the warmongering of whether or not we're really getting into World War III. My God, I didn't even finish telling you what I think about Lebanon. But until we see an actual deal, and then, as you recall, like, if you watched, like, a couple of weeks ago, I had, like, when they were releasing, it was months ago now, when they were releasing the hostages, and you watched every day, even, like, as they're supposed to be released, there was a delay. So you're sitting here waiting, and then, like, they're delayed by an hour. One of the releases did not take place until after midnight. So anyway, so Masha says 45-day truce and exchange. Is it official yet? Because they're, like, Israel was saying, no, it's not acceptable. I mean, the last thing I read, like, literally before I started this, was that it would be 35 to 45 Israelis released out of the 136 in exchange for 100 plus prisoners, Palestinian prisoners, in Israeli jails per Israeli. So I can't do that much math, but it was in the thousands. And that would be, I guess, in exchange for the 45-day truce. But that still brings you, like, Israelis to, like, they still have 100 hostages. That's still a huge number. So anyway, I'm not sure. There's a lot of pressure on all sides, I would say, to make some kind of deal, because also the Gazans need it as well. They need a little bit of time to recover, the citizens that are living in tents and that don't have food and are somehow paying. By the way, there's also, like, apparently tents were costing them money. I thought humanitarian aid was free, was given to the people, but maybe not. I don't know how that works. I mean, thank God. I don't know how that works. I haven't needed to know how that works, but I don't know if they're having to pay for it. And the other thing was passage to Egypt. Many people were trying to get into Egypt. Oh, wow, that's the other thing I was telling you about. So let me write this down for the end, because I started talking about that there were once Jews in Gaza. There's today. This is why I shouldn't leave so much time in between, because then there's too much to talk about. Okay, big news of the weekend was that there's an organization that is almost nearly unpronounceable. It's called UNRWA. UNRWA. It is the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. And UNRWA is a UN, it's this United Nations organization that is just for Palestinian refugees, no other refugees. There is another UN organization or commission that deals with other refugees in the world. This is just for Palestinian refugees. And it was established to provide aid for at the time, there were 700 Palestinians who fled or were driven out of what is now Israel during 1948, during that war. And some also were here, I guess, around, like, there's refugee camps. That's why you hear of refugee camps. So UNRWA is specifically for the Palestinians. So it operates schools, clinics, just different infrastructure within Gaza, especially. Maybe they operate in the West Bank as well, and in other countries where Palestinians have fled, like in the region. So Israel has been saying for a while that UNRWA is corrupted by Hamas, and they last week UNRWA fired or announced that it was firing, I think it was 12 employees. And it happened the same time that Israel said that several employees of UNRWA were involved in the October 7th massacre. I just saw the other day, one was actually kidnapped, uh, an Israeli, and brought her back and then went back in. And others were involved in supplying weapons. And these are the allegations. But UNRWA said, well, we take this very seriously. And they immediately fired 12 staff members. Now, also, you may have heard that several countries that support this organization just froze their funding. I mean, US, um, Austria, Germany, where is my list? See, I'm totally freestyling now, so I'm not going in any order. Finland, Great Britain, Canada, Australia, Italy, France. They all froze their funding, maybe more by now. And so now they have created just this, other potential Back. So what happened in that amount of time? Was it like the rapture or something? Am I back? Did I like that was just so weird. It's like did the time just go away or whatever? And why did I lose internet? Can anybody explain? So bizarre, bizarre. Anyway, okay, um, so what the Israelis are saying, I'm assuming I'm back, but anyway, like whatever. So what the Israelis are saying is that they have intelligence uh, from people they arrested. Oh, Emily, you thought it was me. Yes, I'm back. Thank God. I'm not talking to myself. That's good to know. Okay, so Israel saying that they, from the arrests that they've made since then, since they've been in Gaza and they've arrested some Hamas, they say that according to interrogations and stuff like that, that UNRWA staffers used agency vehicles and facilities in the October 7th attack. And so so they're saying that this is the organization has been corrupted and it should not be allowed to function in Gaza, and they have been sort of building a case to that extent, to that um, to that point for several weeks if not years. By the way, President Trump, when he former President Trump, he suspended completely, he cut off American funding to UNRWA. And one of the first things that Biden did was actually restore it. So you can see, like, it's actually it's been in everybody's mind for a long time, like, who is this organization and why. So the issue with UNRWA, very interesting. Um, they have like, how many? Mash is asking how many staff. I think it's like 13,000. But yeah, so there's, I think, does that even sound right? Yeah, because 13,000 would probably be in other countries as well. Um, it says some 3,000 core staff of 13,000 in Gaza continue to report to work. Oh, wait, we're having an infiltration right now, right here. Nice haircut. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, didn't Israeli firms and intel state that to win war they would need to desire UNRWA? What do you mean by that? To get rid of them though, or to want them? Like, I don't know. Wait, clarify that. Because they have been,
I had to intrude.
yeah, destroy UNRWA. Probably. Yes, that's what I'm saying. They actually, like I said, I didn't go in order. And so I had that Israel was actually, somebody was saying like, Israel had been building this case on, and then it dropped the bomb, like saying, I don't know if they specifically said destroy, but they have been like putting out information that's like anti, and then it was like, oh look here, they did this. But the fact that UNRWA fired them right away without even, like, we didn't even hear, why one day after the ICJ ruling? Yeah, that is good. That is, there was so much happening this weekend. I didn't even talk about the ICJ ruling, the International Court of Justice. I'm not going to do that tonight because this is already too much. But I don't know. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but I remember thinking so much is happening over the weekend. And I feel like that went out on Friday. And, and so it was like it kind of got lost over the weekend news. But they're saying that there might be more, but there are 13,000 employees of UNRWA, maybe just in Gaza. I'm not sure if that's just in Gaza, which would be a huge number, or if it's in all of the UNRWA facilities. But they said they are conducting an investigation and that they obviously condemn if they were involved in the October 7th attacks, if they were even using UNRWA facilities, or or the employees themselves getting involved. It was like they said also some reporters were actually not just reporting, they were involved in, in the beginning they talked about like reporters from large news organizations, that these organizations hire the locals, whether, it's like journalists or humanitarian aid. They hire the locals. And so the locals may or may not be also involved in, they said that journalists were involved with Hamas, whether they were Hamas themselves or the fact that they went with them to report on it. Like there was one reporter that actually was reporting live from a kibbutz in Israel while there was shooting going on all around. So they have been also called in question for that. I don't know if anybody. Oh my God, no, I'm on this. Only kids should do this. This is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I should download this and edit it. Now I have to throw my phone over there because I tried to get on my phone and I hear an echo and I scare. Yeah. Oh, do you hear the echo still? I tried to throw the phone. Tell me, echo still or no echo? Oh, hon, I'm counting on you. Oh, hon, do I have an echo? I'm going to carry on. Okay. Oh, but there's no. Okay, let me make this quick again. I'm going to end this and do it again because I think the internet doesn't like me today. But I did want to tell you, there's the echo.